Gratitude.
Ownership.
Leadership. Discipline.
All right, I'm going to start with the biggest question everybody wants to know. How was Thanksgiving dinner?
It was great. Yeah, it was great. A little bit smaller this year because we had a lot of flu going around the old Corbin household. So
Okay. Oh.
yeah, so we kind of stayed away from some family and stuff. Just out of safe precautions and all that kind of stuff. But no, it was good. Getting a chance to practice on Thanksgiving. Be with family, all that stuff. Really really cool.
Okay. Well, that's good. Good. I had a pleasant time, and
How
of
about
course, mine was great. I was camping, and then
Oh, that's nice.
I brought my family, my parents, some turkey. We ate
Okay.
turkey with them. Drove back up, put some stuff in the van, drove up to a playoff game.
Headed up to 8 Oklahoma.
Ada, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So, I was worried about the game, I'll be honest.
Oh.
Muskogee is a quality football team.
Very good. Yeah.
But I think not even 2 minutes went by, already up 16-0.
Yeah, I mean it was the plans always start fast, so it's if anyone says my plan is to start slow and grind it out, I mean you gotta start fast and end fast, and so you gotta kind of get on them from the jump, and I was proud of the way our kids were able to do that, and like as you mentioned, get up 16-0 pretty quickly, stay semifinal game, that's nice and definitely doesn't hurt. To do that. So really proud of the way our kids responded. As you mentioned, Muskogee's quality program, 10-1 going into that game. Averages, the mid 40s on O and, under 10 a game on D. And so, really quality opponent. Really proud of the way our kids executed.
Well, I'm gonna jump the gun on this. As a coach, I know you always want every game to be the best game.
Sure.
But you want them to be better than the one before.
Right.
My player of the game offensively was Steele Wassel. I thought that was his best, most complete game.
He played phenomenal.
Both physically and mentally of his career here at Choctaw High School. So I was really glad to see that. I thought the point differential, obviously in part because he had to depend on receivers and running backs and line, but that point differential had a lot to do with his performance and his focus. So that was me. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, you could argue that. I mean, anytime we ended up having two receivers that were co, and so, if two receivers are co, that's probably the quarterback. But, I think Steele could probably get it every week, player of the game. But no, absolutely right. It's hard to say if that's his best or, one of the top ones, but definitely in that conversation for sure. Threw for almost 500 yards. Hit a bunch of receivers. Our offensive player of the game was Juju Smith and Connor Stover. They just had a bunch of receptions, clutch runs after catch, high pointing balls, all that kind of stuff, and just really impressed with all those guys. Including Steele. But we mentioned, a lot of times there was a clean pocket. And the offensive line played phenomenal. The Muskogee has a really good defensive line, very athletic. And big, and our offensive line is able to stand up and do a good job. So, no, I 100% agree. Still played phenomenal. He's been locked in. I feel like he's progressively just keeps getting better, and hopefully, we have one more in us.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you on Juju and Connor. It felt to me like Muskogee was keying Luttrell a little bit. Mm-hmm. It felt like that they were like, okay, we're going to go into this game and we're going to do our best to stop Luttrell. And what I liked about it is that just freed up a couple other guys because you can't double cover, you can't spy everybody.
Right.
If you do one, you're taking away from another. That's what I felt, of course, at the end of the game. Luttrell was still kind of running a little bit free.
Still almost 200 yards, so it's like, we try to have, I think, if you're a coach, you need to have a complete offense, and obviously it takes players to do that and execute, but you have to have a plan, and if they're going to take away the pass game, it's going to be heavier on the run. If they're going to take away the run game, you have to be able to throw the ball, and so you have to just kind of do what they're giving you, and as you mentioned, they stayed pretty much a 6-man box for the most of the game, and so when they're doing that, we're going to throw, and then when they lightened it, then we're able to get Luttrell some more touches. So, that's always the game plan. Our offense has done a really good job of that this year. We're averaging over 500 yards a game, which is quite a bit of offense. I've had several over 600 and one almost 700. So, it's a lot of offense, and, really proud of the way that our guys perform. And if you're going against us, we really don't focus on players. We just focus on plays and what's there. And so, any of the 5 guys, with 6, including the QB, may score a touchdown, or earlier in the season, it could be a lateral to an offensive lineman or whatever.
Right.
A lot of guys are going to score touchdowns. A lot of guys are going to score points. A lot of guys are going to have yardage.
Right, and of course this is a great transition. We had a defensive player get a touchdown.
RJ charge.
Yeah.
Not he's not unfamiliar with the end zone. So he's able to get it in. He was fired up. Huge play in the game. Right off the deflection, off the jump. So really, really big play.
Of course, that was the first of 5 turnovers. I believe it was 5 that
6,
I counted.
yeah.
6. Okay.
And so it's anytime in a game like that, it can snowball if you get people behind, and then they have to start throwing the ball more. Lead to more interceptions and all those kind of things. And so that was credit to our defensive players of the game, which was all of our defensive linemen.
Okay.
So that was R.J. Jackson, Bastida, Marcus McGrew, Will Smith, all those guys up front on the defensive line that just kind of was able to control the D line, get penetration, get pressure on the quarterback, which leads to some of those later picks and turnovers and stuff, as you mentioned.
And I always go with that. And so this time I went with your defensive backs. I thought your defensive backs were always there.
Absolutely. Could argue that too. They had a bunch of interceptions. They did a phenomenal job.
But both of the units, your linebackers, and then your defensive backs do a good job helping each other out. Sometimes these sacks are because of coverage.
Right. Yeah.
And sometimes these interceptions are because of
pressure.
And the quarterback that you faced at Muskogee, he's a top notch.
Yeah, he's really good.
One of the top ones in the state.
Yep.
And he definitely had his worst game as far as turnovers this game. But you expect you have your worst game against the toughest opponent.
Right.
But I was happy. If you're
I was happy too. I like to win. It's fun.
If you're going to work all holiday,
might as well win.
You did, you might as well win it.
Right.
Winning's a little more fun.
Winning's more fun. I always recommend it. If given the choice, always choose winning.
Always choose winning.
That's always the plan. So
it's a good coaching point.
Yeah,
always
win. Yeah, it's for all the young coaches out there. Always try to win.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, a lot more fun. Don't recommend losing. I don't enjoy it very much.
No.
But anytime we win a semifinal game, and I think it's cool too that it felt a lot different, than 2020 when we were in the semifinals, where it's kind of like it's still kind of new, and when you've been 3 out of the last 4 semifinals, that's pretty cool. And when I say that out loud, I'm like, man, I feel really blessed,
right?
To have that in our program, and 3 out of the last 4 semifinal in 6A has featured a Choctaw team,
right?
19, 20, 22. That's pretty cool. And then 2 out of the last 3 now state championship, which I'm sure you're about to allude to here in a second. But I mean that's really neat. But it's like, how do you get better at playing in a semifinal game? You need to play in semifinal games. How do you get better at playing in state championship games? You need to play in state championship games. The first one's always the hardest, and so it's always difficult for those guys like that 19 team to go make it to the semifinals for the first time. And you get there and you're like, man, this is different, and then now the 20 team, wow, we actually won it, and then 22 team. In the semifinals, you come in there, and it's kind of like those guys. Most of those guys were sophomores, in 20, and it's like, hey, we've been here before. We know how this would work. We've won one of these before, and we have that experience, and that's huge.
And you're making a great transition, and also making a lot of my points.
There you go. So I'm really myself. So I'm my own commentary.
Yeah, when we beat Stillwater by a Tommy Alzi field goal kick in that semifinal game.
Tommy the Golden Boot.
Right, yeah, Tommy Golden Boot. He was a sophomore.
Right.
Steele also was a sophomore.
Yep.
Latrell Way was a sophomore.
R.J. Jackson
was a sophomore. Yep. There's a lot of those same guys as sophomores that are now seniors. Mm-hmm. And so they remember that Bigsby loss.
Oh, yeah.
And that Bigsby loss was a little loss.
Right.
We were almost there. We were
2017.
We potentially were about 5 minutes away from winning that game.
Right.
Unfortunately, we're not allowed to just randomly add time.
Right.
Unless you're playing in a certain stadium. But we won't talk about that stadium.
Time.
Yeah, they subtract time a lot too.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that. Just watching Stillwater, because that's what you do, and that's what I do, because I've been watching them since the very beginning, because they were predicted to
they're really good.
To walk away with it, because they're an East Side team for some reason. But when we talk about this historic season that you've had, in 6A2 and 6A1 history, this is the first time that guaranteed a non-Tulsa area team is going to win the state championship. It's Stillwater or us are going to win it. So that's historic already.
Right.
And again, we hope we're on that history mark.
More fun, yes.
But the good news, again, looking at this game, is the worst you can possibly do is get the silver ball.
Right.
And every team starting at the beginning of the season, if they said, hey, you're going to get the silver ball, you're like, okay, that is an accomplishment.
Right.
Maybe not what your goal is, but I like to look at that we're not leaving empty-handed.
Sure.
So tell me a little bit about Stillwater. And you know, they're not the juggernaut that they put them out to be in the news. They definitely have some strengths, sure. Good quarterback.
Right.
But I think you guys know a little bit about their defense and about some of the other things they got going on.
Yeah. Well, first of all, Kat, put a period on your last comment is like, we want the gold ball.
Okay,
I want to make that real clear.
Yeah.
I've had the silver. That's awesome. I recommend the gold. So obviously we're pouring everything that we have into trying to get the gold ball.
And that's back in the winning is more fun.
Yeah, winning's more fun. Absolutely. Yeah. And so I mean you feel you have to step back, and so I keep notes on everything, and I journal all the time, and some notes I had from 2020 was like, enjoy the week of preparation going to the state championship. Enjoy the ride to the state championship game. Enjoy pregame in the state championship game. Enjoy all those things. But with that said, obviously, I also have another part that's like lessons learned from 20, things I would do different if I go back, whether that be practice schedule, preparation, whatever that may be, like all those kind of things. And so those are lessons that you learn, and I'll do the same thing, win or lose this time. But like you're always trying to get better each and every year, and that's really the goal. And I tell our kids, like, it really is true that like you have to become a champion before you reach the championship game. Like they will not award a trophy to a non-champion. Like you have to become the champion to go win the championship. And so I feel like our kids are champions regardless, but I want to get like the external reward for what they already are. And you go get the trophy. And so, that's the goal. But like I say, like Monday, following on, December 4th or whatever that is, 5th, like, we're going to lift weights and we're going to work and we're going to do those things. If we win, we're going to do those things. If we lose, we're going to do those things, because that behavior is what got us there to begin with, right? And so it's always the process, and that process is never complete. But switching gears to Stillwater, like, it's hard to say that they're not the juggernaut. They're coming in at 12-0. They've rolled everybody. They very routinely score 50, 60 points on people.
Yes, they do.
They have, by stats, have the best defense in the state, the best offense in the state. And so they're really good. Obviously they're as advertised, and they're really good. And I told our guys back in August, I don't know who we're playing on December 2nd, but I know they're going to be really good. Right. Because that's it. Life is like, and football's no different, like a video game. The last level is what? It's the hardest.
It's the boss level.
Right? And that's exactly right. And so we're at the last level. Well, the last level is going to be the most difficult. Yeah. Right? But it's like, also like, that's what you would want. That's what you've been preparing for. That's what you've been training for. And so, like, I want that challenge. Our kids want that challenge. We want it to be difficult. If it wasn't difficult, there's no value assigned to the prize. But since it is hard, then that state championship trophy is very valuable, right? Because it's very difficult, right? If it was very easy, then there would be no value to it. So yes, there's no holes in their armor. There's no secret formula. Obviously, we have a pretty good idea of what they do on both sides of the ball. But with that said, like, we have to go execute it. We have to go coach it well. We have to go have a great game plan, and we have to go, put our kids in great positions to have success. And then our kids have to take that and then go give extreme effort and play with the same kind of effort that got us into the game to begin with. And if they'll do those things, then you give yourself a chance in the fourth quarter to be successful against a really good team.
I like your answer. Well, and I did want to just stress a point, and we're going to have a wrap-up show next week. Okay. Gold or silver, we're going to have a wrap-up show.
Let's do gold.
But this season, just to put your point on, this season started November 2021. Yep. For you guys.
100%.
For me, I waited until August to jump in, because you did all the hard work and I just get to watch. Right. But in truth, it starts. This season started November 2021.
We've had a countdown to the state championship game since last season. And updated every day on the board. And so, like, our kids know how many days to the state championship game, on December 2nd. So we've had that countdown, since last year. as you say. And so it's a lot of work that goes into this. It's a lot of, kids, gaining weight, getting stronger, learning new positions, kids going down, kids getting hurt, kids coming back, kids doing, there's so many ups and downs throughout a season that you're trying to navigate all that, but, your eye's always on the end prize the whole time and working towards that goal. And so, it is a big deal, but what I hope, and this isn't coach talk, is that I'm hoping that our kids wake up on December 3rd on that Saturday and go work hard. And they wake up on December 4th and go work hard, because really that's what sports is about, is teaching those lessons that we're all a work in progress and it's never complete. And that's just one goal, one marker, along the way, but we've had, win, two non-district games that have never been won before in the history of Choctaw with Westmore and Santa Fe. Those were goals. Winning a district championship was a goal. Winning the semifinal goal, obviously a goal. Staying undefeated at home, being in the state title game, and then now like I said, you have one level left. There's one box left to check, and that's winning the state championship.
Okay. Well, what more can we say to that?
We're ready, baby.
We're ready. We're good. Yellow Jacket TV is going to be there. Audio only. That's what we get.
Audio only.
We were grateful to get to do the semifinal game.
That's cool.
Also, what we're going to do, because it's not going to help anybody, basically when the game starts, we're going to release the entire season back.
Oh, nice.
So you guys can watch all the highlights you want to, click on the games you want to. So it will be there. And I'll be there in 10 years when these guys come back and want to do their 10-year reunion, so they can go to YouTube and watch all the games that they got.
Very cool.
So we'll have that for everybody's enjoyment, because I'm planning on celebrating a state championship.
I'm with you.
You guys have got to do the work, but I'm planning on doing that, and I want everybody at home to be able to do that as well.
Absolutely.
So really, this is history, and this will be 20 years from now, 30 years from now. This will be looked back as that year.
Absolutely. And if I'm able to go to the game, I always say we can have crowd culture as well.
Yes.
Where it's always say when I go to a sporting event and I go support basketball, baseball, wrestling, whatever that may be, I don't wait for a big play to be excited. I get excited and get the crowd excited to make and manufacture a big play.
Yeah.
Because if you sit there the whole time just I'm going to get excited once something important happens.
Yeah.
Well, no, maybe I can get excited and make something important happen and make a big play. And so I'll say, same thing with the crowd. Go enjoy the game. Go be loud. Go crazy. Have fun. It's a huge deal. And if you're doing the math, this is the third time in the history since Choctaw has been built that we've been in the state championship game. That's not very many, right? And so it's let's go enjoy it. Be really, really loud, and let's go have some fun.
And honestly, even if it was on Yellow Jackets TV with video and everything, I'm not watching it. I'm going to maybe watch it on rerun,
right?
But I'm not watching. I'm going to the game.
It's beautiful weather, right? Day game. Take off work. Let's go.
How many opportunities you can have? Well,
absolutely. We don't know.
We've had a lot lately,
right?
But
you got to treat everyone like it's your last one.
Exactly. So let's go.
Let's get it done.
Let's get that gold ball and stay classy.